We're here today with Matt Pontius. He's a senior consulting software engineer at Blue Slate Solutions. He also leads our business process management COE and has a fair amount of expertise across a set of business process management and business rule environments. Matt, welcome.
Thank you.
On the innovation team, you are the leader around the business rule management part of the overall cognitive corporation framework. And so your job is linking that within the framework itself.
Right.
So how does BRM fit into the cognitive corporation model?
So in the cognitive corporation model, it fits into the ACT space. It really is performing calculations and working with the data versus storing data or analyzing data or anything like that. So typically this would fit into the ACT space of the cognitive corporation model. And it ties in typically via the knowledge center of this, because data is going to be passed into the rules engine or the rules management system from the knowledge piece, or it could come in from another actor like a BPM or something like that.
Neat. Is that typical? How does it work normally in a business case when you're using business rule management systems?
So typically it's integrated directly with the business process management tool, and the business process management tool would leverage the BRM tool to perform any decision making, calculations, validations, any of those sorts of rules that are business oriented.
And obviously there are a bunch of products that do this that probably have strengths and weaknesses. What specifically is being used within the lab?
So in the lab, we're going to leverage JBoss BRMS, which looks like it has a really good base for us to be able to integrate with and extend upon, to provide a robust solution and really be able to test the capabilities.
Mm-hmm. And how will that particular component be integrated with the rest of the system that the cognitive corporation tries to put together?
Right. So what we're thinking is that there will definitely be a services layer or a messaging layer of some sorts that will interact with all of these different systems. So semantically, they'll be able to talk to each other via this services layer or messaging layer and dump messages off, and the BRMS could technically pick those up and then deal with them and put something back into like a message queue or some sort of technology like that to process these in real time and also asynchronously.
Interesting. Can you come up with an example to help us just in general understand how the BRMS component will learn from the rest of the systems in the lab? Because part of the idea here is this agility and then the feedback loop and learning. So how does BRM participate in that?
In the life cycle of, I'm going to use a claim for an example. In the life cycle of like a claim on a medical system, a claim might come in, it might get validated, or it might get, an eligibility check or something like that performed by the BRM tool. And that, initially those business rules might not be the best business rules in the world. They might need to be tweaked or something like that. So the analytics engine or the learning portion of the cognitive corporation could potentially find a fault in one of the business rules or multiple business rules, and hopefully the BRM could then learn from what the analytics has figured out. And this could happen in a couple different ways. It could happen in a manual fashion where, the analytics engine or the learning component would notify a user or someone in the system, an administrator, that, hey, these are missing valuable points, and 95% of the time we're wrong on eligibility, and hopefully they're not wrong 95% of the time, but just as an example. And it could then, the administrator could then assign tasks to a team to go and update the business rules, or this could all happen automatically in a semantic way where the learning component or the analytics engine sends a message off to the business rules management system to tell it, you need to fix this rule, and this is what needs to happen. So it could potentially be a great spot for improvement.
Excellent. And so really you're counting on the fact that the business rule engine extracted out things that might have been hard-coded into systems years ago, but now because it's been abstracted out, you could have another system tell it to update itself, and now you've got an agile environment that's capable of doing that.
Right.
That seems like a huge advantage.
Right, and that's really the beauty of a business rules management system, is that it does exactly that. It takes those rules and puts them in a central repository, which is easier to maintain. It's a lot more friendly in going in and editing it versus going inside of some legacy code or something like that and updating, a calculation. And I'll take insurance or a car insurance example for that is that, you could have a rating calculations or something like that that's stuck in code. But if you were to take that out and put it into a BRM tool, you wouldn't ever have to change a front end or something like that to do that calculation. You can just change, the business rule to pull in a new factor or something like that.
Nice. Now, in the integrations that typically are done, you talked about having a service layer in this case. Is that normally how people integrate these things? Are you talking about web services in that case, or what are kind of the common ways that people integrate these into their architecture?
Yeah, a common way is via service-oriented architecture, and exactly that, using web services or a message-based layer. So a message-oriented architecture, either one of those two. And then sometimes you do see the business rule engine actually coupled with the BPM engine. In that case, you don't need an integration layer. It's actually built right in. And we've seen at Blue Slate, we've definitely seen both sides of that situation.
Oh, interesting. Well, I've got one last piece I'm just curious to explore a little bit, and that is around testing. Because it would seem like these rules, they're making decisions in your system, and as a black box, you might want to know that those decisions and have a way to understand if it's making the right decision or the wrong decision. The business user told me they want it to work a certain way. Are there frameworks or standard approaches? How do you actually know that the rule engine's rules are what you want them to be?
So typically inside these rule management systems, I know inside of JBoss BRMS, you have the ability to write test rule sheets to actually go out and test the rules with given scenarios. And so, you could layer on top of that a whole automation framework. I don't know of any products that have that built in, but that might be something we're looking to do in the innovation lab, to actually build up a set of rules and then tell some service to basically test the BRMS system, and that would definitely be valuable.
Neat. All right. Well, thank you very much for stopping by, chatting with us about the business rule component. And I think it's going to be very exciting, and look forward to hearing some of the things that come out of it.
All right. Thank you.